Welcome to Face the State. I'm Ariana Bennett. Thank you for joining us. Well, it takes roughly 150 donors every day in northern Nevada to keep up with the need for donated blood at our hospitals. Now, that blood goes to victims of car crashes, cancer patients, friends, neighbors, loved ones. But during the summer, the supply at the blood bank drops when fewer people show up to donate. Scott Edward with United Blood Services is here to talk about that. Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us. Appreciate it.
So there's a good reason, or at least a real reason, why the supply drops during the summer.
Yeah, the big one is the college and high schools are no longer in session, so we have these big blood drives that we rely on during the spring and the fall. So that's the main one. The other one is summer's fun around here, so everybody gets very distracted. And so a lot of our regular donors that we see are suddenly busy or they're on vacation.
Right. I think you mentioned to me recently that 20% of your donations come from the drives that happen at schools.
Yeah, during the spring or during the fall, that's what makes up a big percentage of our community blood drives are these student drives. So we have the UNR campus, which is just very supportive, and the other colleges and the other high schools, and they really add up.
Now, and obviously the demand doesn't go down even if the supply drops.
Right, right, yeah. So the saying is the need for blood never takes a vacation. So that means we have to be a little creative and work creatively with the business community and have the right campaigns and the messaging out there to raise awareness in the summertime.
Do you ever get to a crisis point where you look at the supply and go, we're not going to be able to meet the need?
You can get close, and that's when we're reaching out to the media, and we would put on appeals. We would say, that's when, if you hear it on the media saying we need O negative or we need O positive or we're short on a certain blood type, that means probably a week of scrutinizing has gone behind the scenes where we've tried all other methods, and the last case is to go out on a media appeal. And so if you hear it like that, that means we're serious.
But then do people respond when you get that?
Yeah, there is I think people like to know for sure that the blood is needed. And then suddenly when they hear that there was a critical appeal, then like, okay, it's going to be worth my time. And then all of a sudden, in a matter of a couple of days, it rectifies the situation, and the blood on the shelves is replenished, and we're able to kind of resume our operations. But it's definitely something. It's a week-to-week challenge.
Yeah. And so how much do you need to keep up, so we're in a good place?
So you said before the average is about 150 a day. So that number goes up and down depending on the opportunities that we have. So this June, we are needing to collect over 4,000 donations here in northern Nevada. And that includes all types of donations, so the red cell donations, and a type of donation that we're beginning to talk more and more about, which is called platelets. And so between those two main components, we need to see about 4,000 people this month.
Yeah, it's not just about the ones you think about, like the car crashes and the emergency surgeries. It's cancer patients. You were just saying before we started the taping, labor and delivery complications might end up needing.
Yeah, there's a lot of variety of what causes people to need blood. And so just this past week, looking at the sheets, we saw some cancer patients were needing blood. There was a complication with a labor and delivery, and that caused some surgery to occur. So in some of the more extreme cases that have occurred in the area, there's a gentleman that had a severe burn, and over time he needed over 500 pints of blood for his case, or it can go from the simple 30 units of blood for a complicated surgery that kind of goes wrong. And so there's a lot of different scenarios that can happen. So
really, no matter when you donate, it's needed, it's valuable.
Yeah, the need is always there, and I think some people they kind of question, like, you're asking for the blood donations all the time. Do you guys really need it? And the answer is yes, and that's part of the reason why we can't just have one large blood drive once a month and move on. We have to have the blood coming in constantly, and that allows us to have the variety of components on the shelves for the hospitals, so we can respond to any type of emergencies or any of the usage.
And that's too because some of the components expire after just a few days, so you have to keep a constant supply.
Yeah, so we don't run into expiration issues too much, but that means we just can't collect it all at once. And so platelets, we have about 5 days when we collect that. But for red cells, we have about 35 days, 35 to 42 days in which we have to distribute the red cells. And that gives us some time that we can be responsible stewards of the blood supply. But it does keep us on our toes, because all it takes is one severe car accident or complicated surgery, and suddenly we're low.
Yeah, or some community tragedy, for sure. So for those who have never donated, they probably don't realize that you have a choice. When you go there, you can donate whole blood or you can donate components. So tell me about that.
Yes, so blood donations become very sophisticated over the years. And so we actually can look at your blood type and make a recommendation on what works well for you. So if you're an O-negative blood donor, we want you to be a red cell donor. And we might even suggest something called double red cell, where you can actually, with one visit, donate 2 red cells. And if you're an A positive donor, for example, we might be talking to you about, would you consider being a platelet donor? And the platelets is a very specialized component where it's used for primarily cancer patients or patients with their immune system that's been suppressed, where they have some conditions where they need support during a treatment. And both of those options are available to the donors when they come in. And the apheresis process, which is what we use for platelets, is very sophisticated. There's more of a machine, and it's a little different than people think of. And so, when you come in to donate and you want to help cancer patients or want to explore that, that's something that you can ask us about.
Yeah, and it's an interesting option too, because in some of these cases, they take some of the components out and then put what they don't need back in.
Well, that's what some of the donors like, and is that there's a saline solution where we just isolate the components. So it's safe with the double red cell. If you're an O-negative donor, we're just collecting the red cells, and the plasma and the platelets and the saline solution is put back. Same thing with platelet donation, is that we just are isolating the platelets, and then you get the red cells and the plasma back. And so that's just how sophisticated the process has become over the years.
Yeah, and then your body is very good at replenishing its supply of red cells. Meanwhile, you've helped save a life, which is amazing.
Yeah, and that also addresses some of the concerns that people have. Is it okay for me to give blood? Is it safe for me to give blood? And it is incredibly safe, and we have very strict guidelines, and we have a lot of questions that we ask when somebody comes in to inquire about donating blood. And it is a fast, effective way that you can, impact the community immediately. It's the blood that's on the shelf that is saving lives. And during the Vegas shooting that occurred last year, it was the blood that was collected in mid-September to the end of September that was used, and we had sent some of those units down to Vegas, and that's what the Vegas team, our counterparts down in Las Vegas, had utilized, was the blood that was collected before. And so that's why we have to have the variety of components, and that's why the summertime makes us a little nervous, where we have to be creative, and we do some of the creative partnerships out there with some of the businesses, and we do these campaigns to raise awareness, because we need to make sure we have the variety of components on the shelves for whatever need will arise.
Right. Now, most of us know someone who's needed donated blood at some point in their lives, and a lot of people qualify, but a lot of those people who qualify still aren't donating. What's the biggest concern you hear from people?
A lot of it is convenience. There's a lot of things to do, and also a little bit of fear of the unknown. It takes a little bit of courage to walk into a center and stick out your arm, and I want to save somebody's life. And a lot of it is sometimes people have been meaning to do it, so there's just our natural procrastination. And so I've been meaning to do it, and a lot of times when I'm out in community and I'm talking to somebody, and I say who I work for, they immediately tell me that they've been meaning to, or why they can't give blood. So that means it's on their mind. A little bit of guilt associated with it, but it's mainly the procrastination. There's a lot of things that we have to do, and now the actual requirements for giving blood has become a little more strict over the years. So we're very strict to areas of travel. We're concerned about risk to malaria countries, other areas that have other diseases that we're monitoring and make that are at risk for maybe hepatitis or those types of conditions. And so the list of what will defer somebody has gone up as well. And so that adds to the challenge. So the natural human tendency to procrastinate or mixed in with some of our requirements, it's challenging. So if you are willing to give, and if you do feel healthy and you know you're healthy, then we really would like you to consider becoming a blood donor. You will make a difference and your blood is needed.
Yeah, and we have some really good opportunities for people to do that. If they donate in the month of June, you guys have a cool promotion going on. You can win a Harley. And then if you donate at our Give to Live blood drive, which is coming up in July 10th and 11th, it goes from 11 to 7 at the Atlantis. It is a really, really fun event. And this year, it's going over 2 days, which is the first time we've done that. It's just because so much demand, right?
Yeah, July is very challenging for us. And so both days combined, we're hoping to at least collect 360 units. So last year with one day we collected about 300. So I think we'll be able to beat that number, but we're keeping it conservative to see how it works out.
Oh, there's always a big crowd. It is a really, really fun event. The Atlantis takes good care of everybody. Yes. I can't recommend it highly enough. But you can make an appointment if you want. It does speed up the process. We can do that online. We have links for everybody on our website, KTVN.com, or on our app. Just make sure you click on the right day, 10th and 11th of July. Mark your calendars, come donate. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
All right, thank you so much, appreciate it.
All righty, well, coming up on Face the State, some of the folks we mentioned who need blood transfusions are going through some pretty tough battles. After the break, I'll sit down with an organization dedicated to bringing them joy right after the break.